as the course content, and then yeah, and then let's start on the first topic. So if you are ready with the Android Studio, then it's better. So if you are not ready, then keep the Android Studio ready by tomorrow. Download all the required SDK, Android Studio and required SDKs, and then I'll note the course content here, and I'll send you this by email. So I'll share with Karthik or directly to you. So activities, layouts, views and view types. So resources are the static files where we store the XMLs, strings, and colors, images, and all of that. Android manifest, as I told yesterday, manifest will be the place where we register everything what we are using in the application. So that's very important, because if we don't register with in the Android manifest and if we try to use anything, then app will crash. So in this topic, it's the most basic one, and the next topics are like a little advanced. These are not very advanced, but a little advanced than this. So this is the first 6 topics are the most important one. These are the basics. So if you know these 6 topics, you'll be able to. You can actually understand the next topics easily. So syntax are the threads, and I'll cover other thread mechanisms also. And then services are similar to activities, but they run in the background. Broadcast receivers it's like a publish subscribe mechanism inside the activity, inside the application. So SQLite is a database inside the application. So if we want to store anything inside a database, then we can use SQLite. So and then content providers, it's an extension of persistent storage, but it is used for it's usually used for sharing applications between sharing data between multiple applications. So I have an application A and application B. So usually if I store any application, any data in application A, it will be private to that specific application. With content providers, we can share the application, we can share the data with other applications. So using content providers, we can include some security mechanisms, so that only the intended apps to which we want to share will be able to access the data. Not every app will be able to access it. And then Gradle build file, it's the build script, as I told yesterday, it's the build script. And then JSON parsing, so this is for the communication. JSON is actually similar to, the usage is similar to XML, where JSON is used for communication between multiple servers or multiple applications. So in that context, I'll be explaining this JSON. And networking, so for making network calls, we'll be using retrofit. So retrofit is a library where we can easily connect. So we don't use libraries, we'll have to develop the whole functionality by ourselves, but in the internet we have so many open source and so many good quality libraries which we can use and reduce our development time. So for the network calls, I'll we'll go through retrofit, how it works, and we'll make use of this library. So using this, you can actually learn how to use like custom other third-party libraries also. And then last topic, I'll be covering this on Android. I'll be covering this custom use, how to make custom use easily. So custom use are Android provides by default at the Java level some views, which are the usual views which we require. In most cases, we'll use these views. But if we want any extra functionality or if we want to extract some common functionality and make it as a separate thing, then we can do custom views. And then we'll go through PhoneGap at the basic level and SendChat at the basic level. So these two things will be at the basic level, and Android will be going it in the very deep level. So yeah, these are the most important topics. So yeah. First, I'll send this send this information in email, so you don't have to note anything now. Next, yeah. So we'll start with the activities. So what's an activity? So Android has 4 basic components. So for Android, when we not basic actually, when we take Android, so it's they developed a framework in which they call 4 things as components. So when someone asks in the interview what are the components of Android, so these are the things: activities, services, content providers, broadcast receivers. So this could be a usual interview question: what are the components of Android? So these things are the basic components on which we build application, and other things will be usually there will be threading mechanisms and there will be threading mechanisms and something connected to any one of these components. So if you take fragments, it's actually connected to activities. It has, and then if you take syntax, this is a threading mechanism. And whatever you take, SQLite, if you take, it's in a way connected to content providers. So everything, it's actually directly or indirectly connected to this to these four components. So first, what's an activity? Activity is the UI screen what we see. So when we start an application, let me share my complete screen. Okay, yeah. Let's go through the folder structure first. Once again. So this is an application. Actually, Movie Songs, it's an application I am planning for the as a project. So we'll develop it again. So that in live. Yeah. So folder structure will be like this. So app manifest it contains only one thing. It contains the Android manifest, and then Java, it contains all the logic files, whatever we write, the actual programming files. And resources will contain multiple folders, but these are essentially static resources. So these are essentially static resources in the sense the layout files, images. So images in the sense, what's a static file? You can simply think of it as anything that is not programmable and which won't change dynamically. So these are the things we'll store in resources. Suppose if you take image image won't change according to it. It doesn't have any logic. We don't have any logic inside the image. So that's a resource. And if you take a menu file, so menu is as like any Android menu if you have seen anywhere, if you have observed anywhere, like yeah, we can give an example as yeah, in Facebook you have seen when you click on your image, it will ask for whether to upload the image by using camera or gallery. So using the camera or gallery, the text, just the text is just the text. That one is called menu. So it doesn't change based on any logic. So when you click on the image, the logic will be at the upper level where based on the click or based on the location of the click, some logic will be applied to open up which menu to show. But essentially the menu won't have any logic. So that is this thing. Drawable contains usually the images and images. We can code the, we can write the images in XML also. We can draw. We can. So it's called drawing. So the name drawable. And then menu layouts are the layouts. I'll explain some basic layout today. And then values are all the strings. So we won't hard code. So if you see this movie intent dot put extra of movie name. So if we write anything in this directly, it's called hard coding, and it's usually based on scenario. Actually, it is a very bad practice. So if we are showing anything to the user, showing any message to the user, we shouldn't hard code the values like this. So actually, in this place, I am not displaying any data to user, but I'm using this for an internal purpose. If there is any string which has to be shown to the user, suppose yeah, I'll give you an example later. If you are showing any message to the user or any text to the user, it's better if we store that in the strings file. So if you come here, there are a set of strings. So the advantage by storing in strings file is we can support multiple languages. So if someone has yeah, so my default language is, let's say, English. So it will Android will show it from this file. So whenever the app name, I can point it to app name. So whenever app name comes, instead of app name, it will show music mate. So this is the name it will show. And then if the language is Hindi, I can include one more strings file with a small change in the folder where I am storing it. So if you see here, there is a drawable v21. So similar to v21, I can actually write values hyphen Hindi, or there is a particular string, it will be HI, I think. So if you mention that, so based on, so if the user's phone language is Hindi, then it will pick all these strings from the Hindi file. So that's the way we'll be able to support multiple languages. So we don't write the code for each language. What we write is we duplicate the resources to multiple languages. So that's the only thing we'll do. Using that, we'll be able to manage multiple languages. And then styles, it's actually some common styling. So yeah, while going through views, we'll go through these styles in detail. So right now, let's start. So this is regarding the basic folder structure. Yeah, and then this is the toolbar. So it has some whatever we have in the next line. So these are kind of shortcuts which we actually have in the toolbar also, toolbar in the internal menus. So to start a new project, we'll go to new and use the new project. and we have multiple ways to we can start we can create new multiple components here, and then edit usually contains some editing capabilities like cut, copy, paste, and some of this actually you can find here, you can find in this row. And the best thing to do is to remember as you program, try to remember most of the shortcuts here. So if you depend on going here, the development speed will increase. So if you depend on the shortcuts, you will be able to code faster. And then views, it is this view is how to structure the view of the window. So it's not about the Android views, how to structure the view of this particular Android Studio window. And navigate is going forward, backward, and file structure. So these are some navigation mechanisms. And code, yeah, it's similar to navigation, but it is navigation among between various components and actually the code, and insert light template. These are some useful features. So if you explore more about the Android Studio, you can explore more on this light template or surround with generate. We'll be using this generate very frequently. Other things we won't use them that frequently. But yeah. And then analysis. So if we write some code, we'll do some static analysis, so that so not everyone will do the static analysis, but it's a good practice to do static analysis. So even when there is so yesterday I showed one program where I kept the main method as private. So in the main method, the access modifier for the main method was private. So as a compilation, it doesn't have any problem because it's a proper Java code. But usually for main, it will be the method will be the access modifier for the main method will be public. So when we do static analysis, we'll be able to find out such mistakes. So that is about this. So we have multiple options to do the static analysis. So different types of static analysis. So the example which I gave yesterday was regarding the access modifiers, but we have so many ways to do the static analysis. And then refactor, it's about changing the name and renaming any files. So that is about this. And then build is actually the creating the APK. So it includes multiple options for doing this, creating the APK and generating the production APK, which will be generate signed APK. So this will be the production APK, will be publishing it to the App Store. So run. So these are some run configurations which we'll do it on the phone. So while developing, we'll be using this one for developing, and then running the app on either the phone or emulator. So we'll be using these options. So there are so many disabled options here. So these will get enabled as we do the debugging, and then as we go through the multiple options. When some of them will get activated when we do this run app, and then some of this will get enabled when we do this debug app. And then tools are any third-party tools which we can add as plugins. So these will come in the tools. VCS is the version control, which I'll explain you a little basic now itself, but we won't go through much into the version control mechanisms. So version control is, I have written some code today, and so usually we work in teams. So let's say we are working, one person is working in India and one person is working in US on the same project. So I have written some code here, and next in the morning, and I left office. So on the next day and the night, this person from US comes and he wants to write the code. So he won't have the latest code with him. So in such cases, we'll be using this version control mechanisms. So rather than using this default saving this in a file and share or zipping the code and sharing it, we use the version control mechanism, because when we use this version control mechanisms, for each code we save, there will be a version code associated with it. So whenever suppose this person in the US writes some mistake and does a commit into the code base, we can actually revert back the code based on the version code. So we'll be tracking the whole history of who did what and when. So this is the way we'll be tracking. So one best example of version control is Git SVN. So these are very commonly used version control mechanisms. And for Git, actually, there is one website called GitHub, which you can actually use it for free for public projects. So every code base, we'll be calling it as a repository. So we'll be calling it as a repository. And for Git, even there is one more website called GitLab. Even this one is free and Bitbucket. So there must be some free websites which offer this SVN based code version control. So these are two types of version controls, most commonly used one. So, and usually it depends on the project which you are working on, the version control the project uses. So it depends on the client, so which they prefer. And then, yeah, that's about the VCS. And Windows is again playing with the Windows settings, and help. It's about the regular help regarding this Android Studio. And asset importer, again, it doesn't usually come with the Android Studio. This is something. Yeah, this is, I think, this is from a plugin. Yeah, this is from a plugin I installed into this Android Studio. So usually it's only till help. And okay. So during the project structure, there are multiple ways to view the project. So this is if you select Android, so this is the way you will see. And instead you can use any of this: project, packages, scratches, project files, problems. So if you select it as Android, you will be able to see this one as in this structure. But usually in the code, in the file system, the code will be in a different way. I'll show you how the code will be structured in the file system. That will be a little different. So if you see here, so many files will be created. So when we generate a project, so many files will be created. All these are helper files which we don't write. These will be automatically generated. So app will be the place where we write the code, and then this will be the build file, as I told yesterday. Yeah, and then all of these are automatically generated files. SRC will contain the Java code and the resources. So this will be the place again. We'll be doing this. We'll be writing the code. So SRC main and Java resources will be for the static files, and then the manifest file, and this is some image, and these are test files, and these are some UI test files. So so if you see here, the project structure is movie songs, and inside movie songs there are some temporary files, not temporary files. There are some helper files which got generated, and inside app also there are some temporary and not some helper files which are generated. And SRC, these are also actually the code files which we have to write, or which we have to write. These are for the testing purposes, and the actual code we'll write it in the SRC main. So all this folder structure, when we create our first project, these things will be automatically created, and we have to worry only about this Java resources and manifest file, and then the build file. So these are the things we'll have to worry about. Libs, if we want to use any third-party libraries, we can include this in this folder, and we can use it in our app. Builds, it contains all the, so when we do a build, the bytecode, or in Android we call it as dex code. The native code will be dex code. So all the dex code files will be generated here in the intermediaries and outputs, and even the APK, debug APK, will be generated here. When you make a production build, so signed APK, as I was saying, this when you do this build APK, it will generate a test APK, the debug APK. Debug APK means it's a test APK. So that will be generated in this folder in the outputs, and all others are some helper files and the temporary files. And if you generate a generate signed APK, if you do this one, we'll be getting this. We'll be getting at this level. So I renamed this, but the name will be a little different. But this is the place where we'll get the production APK. So which is the file we'll be uploading it to the Play Store. So this is about the folder structure. Yeah. So yeah, next I'll actually I'll create a project. I'll create a simple new project with the basic Hello World program, and show you what's an activity. So if you have any questions till now, please ask.
I don't have any questions, sir.
Okay. So I'll create a new project, and I'll go through the basic code, and then I'll explain you what's an activity inside that. New project. So this one, I'll name it as demo 1. So this one, usually the company domain name will give it. Here I'll give it as Invitech. So if you see here, this will be the package name, and this should be invitechit.com. So package name in the Play Store, each and every application will have a unique package name. So you have to take care of this. Suppose if you use your company's domain name, and then if this is the project name, you can the package name will be like this, and usually it will be unique because the company domain name will be unique to the specific company. So in that case, this uniqueness will be maintained. Essentially, the package name should each and every application on Play Store. So if you see the Play Store, there are thousands of applications, and each application will have its own package name. So this is very important while uploading anything to the Play Store. So where I want to store it, I'll store it at the folder. I'll store it. And next is what's the minimum SDK I want to support. So here it will give me some information about my target. So like I want to support from Android 4.2. So in that case, Android 4.2 should be for testing purposes. It's better if we have Android 4.2 in my system, but it will give. So it's not mandatory, but the latest should be. So the latest should be with this, and the bill against which we want to create, it should be in our in our downloaded SDKs. Let's say I want to I can even change this 4.1 or 4.2. So let's take 4.1 Jelly Bean, and then here it will give me the approximate number of devices with 4.1 on active on Google Play Store. So 95.2%. That means we'll be supporting Android 4.1. We'll be able to run the applications in 95.2% of Android devices. 95.2 of the total Android devices, and which are active on Google Play Store. Suppose if you have any Kindle or any other Android based phone which is not connected to Google Play Store, those things will not be covered, but whatever is active in the Google Play Store, out of those 95.2% of the devices you'll be able to target, which is actually a good number. So while creating a project, it's better if you are supporting more than 95% of the devices or 90% of the devices. It's a good number. And then, so these are multiple. So yeah, these are multiple ways of activity. So you can select one of these options, add an activity to mobile. So as I said, activity is the phone screen. Yeah, phone screen which you are seeing. So you can, when you are content enough, you can go to add no activity and do your own include your own activities. But Android by itself will provide some basic activities which you can manipulate and which you can. Yeah, it will automatically generate these activities, so you don't have to create those again. So let's say I just want an empty activity now, and next I'll call it main activity. So usually this will be the naming structure. So activity name will be actually a Java class file. So when we create main activity, it means a file with main activity.java will be created, and correspondingly one layout file. So layout, as I said, it will be the design of the activity. So that will be in the layout file. Main activity is the place where we write all the logics, and this will be the naming structure again, main activity and activity underscore main. So these are the place. This is the place you can understand. So suppose if I have something called settings activity. So usually this is the naming structure we follow, activity underscore settings. But even then you can have any name. So you can have any name like this, but usually this is the naming structure we'll use. Yeah, only thing you'll have to take care is capitals are not allowed in this. So you'll get a help here. So layout name is not valid, and why is it's not valid? Because it will contain only underscore numbers and small case letters. So I can have it as event demo. So naming structure will be important when you write the code in the production. So, and then I will do a finish. Yeah. This will create a new project. So this will take a little time. So I'll go through what's an activity again. Activity is something whatever the user sees on the phone screen. So this is the basic definition which I can say. And then the layout file is the static file about the activity design. So if you compare this with HTML or JSP. So let's take an example of JSP if you are aware. So this is Java server pages. So the part which you write in HTML is equivalent to this layout, which will write it in XML. And the part which we write in Java, it will be, you can compare it with activity. So here we write that in Java as well. Yeah. So our project is almost ready. So usually this will take a little time when it creates. So I'm closing this one for now, this window. Yeah, that's the reason if you have good RAM, the project will be, your development will be faster. If the RAM is less and if the processor is slow, this will actually take, the time to create all of this will increase. So if you observe here, it is doing some at the bottom. It is doing some building indexing. It will be useful for faster searching of the files. So and this time, so it will show me the time, how much time it took to build it. So 1 minute 2 seconds, and this time will increase based on the customization of the build script and amount of the number of files which you have. So to have the build times faster, which you need to have the number of files low, and you need to have the customizations on the build script less. So since ours is a simple project, it won't even from it, since it was the first build, it took this much time, but the further builds it will take it will be only in few seconds. What things will be going through in this class, in this section today. So yeah, so when we created an application, you see here, this is the package name we have given during the creation of the project. So to have this package name, it's not mandatory inside Java folder, inside this Java folder. But again, this is a convention we use. So inside the package name, proper package name, we have this main activity. This is the Java file where we write our Java code. So activity, as I said, it is the phone screen which the user sees. Suppose if you are seeing this Facebook screen, so they have written in, they'll create an activity file, and they'll create a layout file, how it should look, and then all the logic they'll create in this onCreate method, or based on the actions, they'll create as different methods here. So everything is the basic concept is the same. So they'll create an activity, so what the user sees, and then they'll have a layout file. So in this case, we'll go through our layout file. So layout, yeah, as I told, this is the spec version as I was mentioning yesterday, this is the spec version, XML version, encoding, what type of encoding we are using. So you need not worry about encoding right now itself. So we'll manipulate this only in very few cases. Even in 99.9% cases, we don't have to worry about the encoding, how it's encoded. And when you create an activity file, all of this structure will be it will automatically come. And then this is the action, and it will work even if we don't have this spec. It will work, but it's a convention. Again, it's a convention, and it's a good practice to have the spec version of the XML. And it created something called constraint layout and a text view here. So which says hello world. So text view, yeah, I'll go through the view. Yeah, I'll explain text view now, but when we are going through this view types, we'll be going through it in detail. And then, yeah. So text view, you can think it of simply like a label or some text in HTML. I don't know what's the equivalent tag in HTML. I don't know, but it's something similar to a label. So whatever you write in this Android text inside the text view, it will come on the phone screen. Suppose if you run the application in this design, so text is the place where we write this XML, and in the design actually we can see what we have written. So how the design appears on the full screen. So this blue color bar is called the toolbar. So by default this toolbar will come, and we can have customizations on this toolbar, and this will be the application name or usually the activity. We can even customize this. What we can have the activity name. By default the application name will come here. So our application name is Invitec IT Demo 1. So that's the name it will come, and hello world is the text we can. Hello world is the text, and there is some constraint layout, and this one will be covering in other topics. So as you see, we write the design here, and then the logic. Right now I haven't included any logic here. So this is the default method. OnCreate is the default method which will get called, and when we do this set content view of the layout file, this Java file, this activity file, and then the main file and this layout file will be connected. So yeah, this is about the basic about XML and the layout file. So, and then what's an activity? Activity is the phone screen which the user sees, and then each activity, when you want some activity, you have to extend. So when you want to create a activity file, it should extend a class called activity, or else app compact activity is it's a helper activity, which is again we call it as support from the support library. So this we use it because we can either use this one activity or app compact activity. It's a good practice to use app compact activity in a case where we want to support maximum devices. So we are supporting this from Android 4.1. So if we take activity, the support usually the support will so all the new code will be all the latest things will be customized in the activity file, and some backward compatibility so that it will run in the older device also. Such backward compatibility will be maintained in this app compact activity. So that's why it's better to use app compact activity, and it depends on the project again. So whatever your team lead or your client wants, you can use it. To support maximum devices, you'll have to use app compact activity. And then what's an onCreate method? So when someone asks about activity, this will be the usual question: activity lifecycle. So what's an activity lifecycle? Again, I'll write it here, and then I'll go through some documentation. On create, on start, on resume, on pass, and on destroy. So this will be the usual question, and this could be one of the questions which you get in an interview. So what's an activity lifecycle? So each and every activity will have a life cycle. So when the user sees the phone screen, and when the user clicks on a button, and or when the user opens one, clicks on the app icon, app will open. So when the app will open, it will open an activity. So first it will open one activity corresponding to that application, and then it will go through this go through these methods. So this is the life cycle. We call it the life cycle. So whenever the activity is actually created, it will go through this onCreate method. So it means the activity is getting created. So at that point, usually we'll connect, when the activity is getting created, we connect this activity file to the layout file. And then immediately after whatever the code is written in the onActivity file, whatever the custom code we have written, if it's completed, then it will go through this onStart method. OnStart is the place where we can do some initializations, and it means activity is created and it is starting now. So OnStart means this, and then onResume is, suppose it's similar to OnStart, but the initializations and everything will, and the purpose of onResume is usually different. So onResume happens, suppose in this case, suppose I am using application, application 1. I'm using this application. I'm using, let's suppose I'm filling some form in this application 1, and a phone call came. So in this case, when a phone call comes, application 1 will automatically go into the background, and then later I have disconnected the phone call. After I disconnected the phone call, again the application 1 will come into the foreground. So what the user sees, we call it as the foreground, and then application 1 will come into the foreground. So I'll go through this scenario once again. I'm using one application. Suddenly a phone call came. So in this case, application 1 will go into the background, and this phone call application, this phone application will be in the foreground. And then I have disconnected, after talking, or immediately I have disconnected the phone call. So immediately this phone call application will go into the background, and application 1 will come into the it will come into the foreground again. So here, when we do this, when it goes into the background, it will go through a method called onPass. So it means the application is the spaces here. Yeah. So the application is going into this pass stage. So if we want to save some data or do some actions, we can write it. We can write in this onPass, and then here also while disconnecting the call, I am still in the phone call application, and while connecting back into this application, to my application, it will go through a method called onResume. So suppose if we saved some data here, saved some temporary data in onPass method, we can actually claim it back in onResume method, so that application 1 will be, user will be able to see the same way when the application went into the background. So that's the purpose of this onPass and onResume method. So when the application, when the activity is coming into the foreground, it will go through this onResume method, where we can do some initializations about the activity, or about any components or anything we are using in the activity. We can do the initializations here. And if we want to deinitialize or remove something from the memory or anything, we can do it in the onPass. And onDestroy is it's similar. You can take onDestroy similar to onCreate. So onCreate is the place where the actual activity is getting created, and onDestroy is the place where everything gets killed. So when the activity gets killed, it will go through onDestroy method. So onCreate is activity is actually getting created, and onStart is just before starting the activity and after creation. And onResume is so you can onResume and onPass, these are similar things. you can remember this example. So when the activity is going to background, on pause will be called. When the activity is coming into the foreground, on resume will be called. So this is the activity life cycle. This is called the activity life cycle. So whatever is the UI component which the user has, activity or even this this topic fragments. Fragments also are UI concepts which are connected to activities, and it will have its own life cycle. So anything which has usually this Android components will have one life cycle, and most importantly, whatever the user sees, the user sees the activities and the fragments. These will have these will have a life cycle. So the life cycle is important because these methods will be when the since this is simple Java code. This Android phone should know which in which method we have written. So similar to the main method in a Java class file, similar to the main method. So the JVM will automatically find the main method and it will run it. So similarly here, the Android will automatically find this onCreate method, onStart method. It will automatically try to find these methods, and it will call this. So you can understand here. So protected. So onCreate is a protected method. It's not a private method. So when it is a protected method, so it can be even a public. It can be anything above protected. But to have more security, it is written in a protected access modifier. So if you write private, it won't be able. It will show us an error here. So it has to be onCreate method. It has to be a method which should be accessible to outside world. It should be and in a limited way. So we are using protected here. It should be accessible in a limited way. So this will get called onCreate when the application is getting created. So let me run this application now, and yeah, I'll write some more on start, and there is one more on stop also, which is similar to on start, but usually we don't do anything in the on stop method. Only if we need something specific, we'll write it here. And there are some intermediate lifecycle methods also, which are not actually that important. So these are the most important lifecycle methods which we do some actions here. So even on stop and on post created. So just before on start and on create, there is one more method called on post created. So these are methods actually we don't use anytime. So it's not. So these are just some helper methods which will be useful if we are doing something specific, but usually we don't use them. So I'll write on start, and then so if you see this override, we are taking this actually from the activities. So app compact activity. So if you see here, there is one onCreate method. We are actually using the same onCreate method, and super.onCreate means this method will be called first, and then the parent from the parent will be called, and then we are after all this thing is finished, then we will go into this connecting the activity file and the layout file, and then onStart super.onStart is the same thing. First the parent method will be called, and then we can override it and use it and do some initializations here. And then here I will include onStart on resume. Yeah, and then on pass, on destroy. So okay, yeah, right now I won't be able to destroy the application activity because I have only one activity, and when I do a back, it will actually go into a minimized state, so activity won't be killed. So right now I'll demo the life cycle based on these 4 methods, and I can even show that the demo this destroy won't be called. So I'll put a log here, log dot. So log is something similar to system.out.println in normal Java, but we have multiple types of logs, error logs, verbose logs. So we can use whatever logs we need based on the scenario. I'll use the application name here. Immediate IT demo in so yeah, let's close the class after this simple demo. On start, on resume, on pass, on destroy. So yeah, right now for now I'll connect my phone and I'll run this application. Give me a minute.
I can't hear you.
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, so we can run this application. We can run this app directly. Shift F10 is the shortcut, so it will run the application. Or if we write our own configurations to if we want to run some test, we can write some configuration and we can use this run command. Or even if we point the configuration to run this app, we can run the app using even this command. So usually first we run this uh, app while developing. We'll be using mostly this run app and debug app. Only if you want to run something extra or change the configurations, we'll use this common run and debug. These things will need configurations. But Android, this IDE has given us some default configurations pointing to this, pointing to run this application, this app. So we don't have to manually do the configurations. So I'll do this. So this is the topic I want to explain about ADB. ADB means Android Debug Bridge. And then ADB hasn't detected the phone. Let me reinitialize it. So first it has to, when we connect the phone, actually it has to detect here. So if it is not if you have connected the phone and it's not detected, you'll have to switch on some developer settings so that the phone will be available to ADB for the Android debug bridge. So it's a Android debug bridge. You can think of it as a connection between this Android Studio and the phone and connected devices. I'm running the application in this Samsung SN device. It's so if you see at the bottom, it's yeah, Gradle build running. So it's creating the build. So yeah, and since this first time we are building the application to the phone, this might take a little while. But if you have yeah, as you develop the app, it will be, as you start doing it, it will become, the builds will be faster. And this is the place where we see the log. And this is the place where we are seeing this no debuggable process. This is the place where we can select the application which is running or which we are developing. So once it runs, it will automatically get selected. Yeah. Let's give it some more time so that it will run. Installing APK. So the application is getting installed to the device. You can see the device here and the logs here. Yeah. So if you see here, as soon as the application has started, this one automatically detected the which is the application that is running and which is in development mode. And then once the application has written, these are some system level logs which we don't need, Zygote, and these are phone level ones. And these are the logs which we have printed on create, in on start, and on resume. So yeah, this is to explain the lifecycle method. So whenever the application, you see this timeline. So it took 261 seconds to complete the, to go from on create. So once it ran this on create, it took 20 milliseconds to go into the on start and on resume. Since we are not doing any actions here, so internally there is some code which might get run, get delegate.on start. So internally there is some code which is actually running, but these were actually very fast. So everything looks immediate. Even 20 seconds will be, user won't be able to see this 20 seconds gap. So if you write so much code, this onCreate method will, the time for the onCreate method will increase, because yeah, these things will run in the main thread. So there is when while covering the threading concepts, we'll cover the what's the main thread and what's the background thread. So yeah, it will go through this on create in this order: on start, on resume. Now let me minimize the application. I'll press the home button, or let me yeah, I'll press the home button. If you see here, you'll be able to see the logs again. See, the log which is printed is on pause. So as I said, when the app is going into the minimized, so I minimized the phone screen, while the app is going into the minimized or into the background, on pause will be called. So here the application of the actually the activities on pause will be called, which are the activities in the foreground. So application, when the activity is going into the background, or it will get called even before the destroy also, on pause. And then now I'll again open it from the background. So I have opened it from the background. If you see here, again this on start method, on start and on resume got called. So on start method, it won't get called always. So based on the system resources and how much it went to it, how much past state it went into, on start method will be called. But usually this is the method, on resume is the method which will get called for sure. On start we can't guarantee. It depends on the system resources. System in the sense the phone's resources, this on start will be called. So if we want to do any initializations about the components or anything, it's better to write it in on start rather than depending on the on start method. And similarly, rather than depending on the on stop method, it's better to remove do the reinitializations or anything in the on pass method. And on destroy method is while doing multiple activities, we'll go through this on destroy method. So right now, when we kill the activity, let me try to kill. I don't know whether it will get called or not. I'll kill the application or no. So when we kill the application from here, when we do this close all, this on destroy usually won't get called. Yeah. Yeah, so application got killed and yeah, on destroy. So from the minimized state, if we delete it, this on destroy will be called, and this got reset because app got killed. This got reset. So this is the way. So these activity lifecycle methods will be called. So basically, what's an activity? I'll go to what's an activity and the XML before closing the class. Activity is whatever the screen the user is seeing, and XML is the design, and activity will have a life cycle. So life cycle is important because Android will be calling these methods at appropriate places, and we have to do the actions or initializations or anything in this life connecting to this life cycle methods. So, and today we have looked out at a basic application with a simple activity. So this is the screen the user is seeing, which has a text at the center, hello world, and that is written in the XML. As I said, this is the design, and we have written that in the XML. And you can always switch between design and text to see how the design is looking. And this is the toolbar. And toolbar, if we default styling, this toolbar will come, but we can always customize this toolbar. If you see this, the design, since we don't have any customizations in the Java code, or since we don't have any specific logics to manipulate the UI in the .java, both the layout file and the phone screen are looking similar. So if we write any logic in the activity file, we'll be able to see the change. There will be differences in the layout file, what the user is seeing, what we are seeing in the design file, and what we are seeing in the phone. So this is about the activity, and an activity should always extend an activity file, or in this case we are using a customized one from the support library app compact activity, but you can always use just the activity. You can always use just this one, or use this one. And yeah, so this is about the activity. So what's more important is whatever the user is seeing, that is called the activity, the phone screen which the application screen the user is seeing, that is called the activity. So yeah, do you have any questions on this topic, or if I am very fast? Sabita and Yasir, do you have any questions?
No, sir, not any questions on this, but I have a doubt on the regular one.
Okay.
Now we are developing an application for an Android phone, so that can run on any Android phone, right?
Yeah, it will run on any Android phone, yes.
So yeah, we are learning about that. So I have a doubt that in an Android phone, so do we have to? Do we have to do any applications like phone? So doing a phone call, is it like an application or is just an built
Okay, so let me show the
phone?
phone call application here also. So whatever you are seeing here, so if you see this, I have so many applications, I have so many things here. So this Google has so many applications. Everything is an application which is developed at the Java level. So if you take this Microsoft apps, which are MS Word, Excel, Skype, even Skype or whatever it is, everything is an application. Even this phone call, this is an application which is written at the Java level. Only to access some things for the phone, they have to access this uh, phone call related lower level things. For that reason, they might have used something at the C language level, at the native NDK level, but essentially all the design and everything, if you take this one, this is an activity. So what you are seeing, it has a toolbar with phone more as an option, as a menu, and at the bottom level it has options for log, favorites menu, and this number pad, and this phone call icon. Everything is part of the phone call application. So this is an application, and this is an activity, and this is an activity which is designed at the .xml and in the layout file, and they have some actions for these buttons. So, and how the layout is designed, everything is actually, it will be in the XML. If you go into the code, it will be an XML file, and you can see all the applications which are actually installed onto the phone from this applications folder in the settings. So if you see this Android system web view Appium settings, it is for testing. If you see the calculator which comes by default with the phone, camera which comes by default with the phone, Chrome the browser, clock, contacts, dictionary, drive is the Google Drive, and everything is an application. And even for this contacts it will be actually, usually we don't remove the contacts application and everything. So it is not showing up in this not the contacts, the phone application. Yeah, if you see here in the application settings, even the phone is coming. This is related to the phone calls. So how the phone call is managed, and how the phone call is, when we make a phone call, how the voice is transmitted, that will be at another level, how it's being done. But essentially the phone call thing is, it's an application. So everything is an application. Only the framework is written on top of it. Framework at the Android level, the framework is written, and on top of it, everything is an application. Yeah. So did that answer, Sabha?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yes.
regarding the Android Studio and SDK, so I downloaded Android Studio, but
Okay.
and what else I have to download, like as you said, the SDK versions you have to download. So
Yeah.
what more I have to download, sir?
No, that's it. Android Studio and SDK, and everything will come in it itself. And yeah, you'll be developing in the phone or emulator, or do you have Android phone?
Oh no, sir, I don't have Android phone.
Okay.
I just downloaded the Android Studio today. So
Okay, no problem. You don't need Android phone. Just the reason is if you have Android phone, it will be faster for the development. But you can use an emulator. So while explaining this ADP, I'll explain how to use the emulator also. So you can run
okay,
the phone actually inside this Android Studio itself.
okay,
So you can even use it. But in the company, usually you'll get test phones when you are actually working on a project. You will get some test phones. So there it's
okay,
better to keep up with the programming speed. It's better to use the phone instead of using the emulator.
okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's end today's class then. Yeah. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll go through a little. Yeah. So this is about the activity. Tomorrow we'll go through this layouts, different types of layouts. Let's go through this topic. And tomorrow the class is at same 7 o'clock, 7 a.m. in the morning, 7 to 8. Today, as it started late, we went a little more extra. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.